Alright, so we're back with another game by me, GoldenEye. And,
Blanky gets it, though. Sorry.
yeah. So I'm going to be playing the whole game on 00 Agent difficulty, which is the highest difficulty. This 007 mode is only unlocked once you beat every level in 00 Agent, and it allows a customizable difficulty, so it could be easier or much harder if you wanted to, but we're just going to keep it to 00 Agent.
Just curious, Red, is it meant to just be saying GoldenEye right now on screen?
No, it's not.
Right, it might be because you're tabbed out of the window or something. Because I know Harain had issues when the window wasn't in direct focus. Oh, there we go.
Or it was for a moment. I don't know how it's...
It looks like it's on the menu now. Oh.
Shoot.
Now it's just black. Oh, now we're on the level select screen. Not level select, the file select.
Why is it... How am I supposed to... Wait, how am I... I don't understand. It freezes when I focus on the game?
I don't know what it freezes when you focus on.
How am I supposed to do this then?
I have no idea.
I thought we... Okay, I'm gonna try setting it to screen 2 instead of the actual game. Okay, I think that makes it work. You can see the cursor moving.
Cursor is moving, yes.
Okay,
I just want to check if the audio is working
yeah.
nicely.
Yes. Neolenki, I haven't, but I know of it, and it was...
The volume levels are a bit low for you. Like, your microphone's a lot quieter than I am, and Ben is.
My microphone, okay. I'll raise it. I can't raise it any farther than this, though.
Okay, well, you can just lower your desktop audio and contrast then.
Alright. But that'll also lower you guys.
Yeah, exactly, but that's the point, is to get everything balanced, right?
Okay. I lowered it to a little over halfway. How's that?
It's just taking a second.
Have you ever played it, Neolenki? And if so, what do you think of it?
You could turn the desktop audio up just a touch.
Okay, I did so.
Okay, I think that should be good for now.
Alright.
I'll give it a double check a little bit later, and we can see if we want to keep it like that or change it up a little bit.
Okay. Alright. So yeah, let's just get right into it. 00 Agent difficulty. So one thing I really like about GoldenEye is that each difficulty, in addition to just making enemies, harder and such, adds new objectives to the levels. Because normally on this first level, the only objective you have on the lowest difficulty is to bungee jump off the dam. But now we have like 3 additional objectives that we need to complete. Now, I also want to point out that I am playing with a mouse and keyboard, and also the game is at like 60 FPS at widescreen, which obviously was not the case on N64. This does significantly make the game easier. So, which is why I'm able to do this on 00 Agent. This was an N64 game.
Just curious, I know the SNES, I think, had a mouse. Did the N64 have one?
Not as far as I know.
PS1 did, but not the N64.
Ah, okay.
Now, I am a defender of how this game plays on N64 because I think it was built pretty well around the N64 controller. However, after playing with mouse and keyboard, it's going to be difficult to go back. Like, mouse and keyboard is just the superior way to play it.
Always just loved, well, I think my favorite gun is just the KF7 Soviet, just because of how much it looks like a pencil.
Yeah.
I don't even remember what the KF7 Soviet looks like.
It's the AK.
Oh, the AK. I still don't quite remember off the top of my head, but I'll see it in due course, right?
Yeah, I was holding it for a brief moment there, so...
Oh, okay.
Okay, coming
I
across...
also really love this this track.
The music in the whole game is good. So we're coming up to, like, one of our first objectives. This right here is an alarm. We need to destroy all of them in the level.
One other thing, I don't know how much you're gonna do it, but I just love that you can shoot like the hats off people.
Okay. Yeah. So here's another objective. We need to select the covert modem. Throw it on this. And objective B complete. Yeah. Yeah, so obviously...
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he did.
Obviously, you know, GoldenEye is not a very obscure game. People know about it. It was pretty popular when it came out, especially for its multiplayer mode. I didn't have this game growing up. You know, I only have it because years later, my sister bought it because she wanted to do some drunk multiplayer with her friends at one point, and that was the only reasons why she wanted to play it. So after she was done, she just gave it to me.
That's nice.
Friend gave it to me at camp because my parents wouldn't let me get T-rated games at that point.
Oh, yeah?
But it's funny because I remember, like, as a kid, passing by when my sister had friends over. They were playing this game, and I didn't know what it was. The only thing I really remembered from that is they were doing, you know, they were playing multiplayer, obviously, and they were like throwing knives at each other, but like the other model doesn't animate throwing knives.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, and I think they also were trying to slap each other, and that also didn't animate. That was kind of funny.
I think my favorite
quite
part
funny.
my favorite part about the animations is crouching, because it doesn't show them walking when they're crouched. They're just sort of floating, like sliding.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. I think Red Faction also is like that.
Did Red Faction have a multiplayer? I guess it would.
Yeah. I mean, like, you can see that in a mirror in the game. But, yeah, it does have multiplayer.
Ah, okay. Dude, mirrors in video games are such a little thing, but they make such a big difference.
But yeah, so while I didn't I didn't like grow up with this game. So when I say I do think this game is still really good, it's not because of nostalgia, you know, that, because I had been more experienced with other shooters when I finally played this for the first time. I actually played the Wii remake of GoldenEye before this GoldenEye.
I think I was actually in the same case.
Have you played this GoldenEye at all?
I have played a few levels of it. I've never completed it, and I did play it on the mouse and keyboard setup. Mostly because I played through all of Perfect Dark with one of my friends on... I don't think we played on the highest difficulty. I think we played on the second highest. But, oh my goodness, the Xbox Live Arcade remake of Perfect Dark was insane.
Oh. Perfect Dark. Oh, I'll get to that in a moment, but, So yeah, I did quite like... Now, to be fair, it has been a number of years since I first got GoldenEye, so I guess, you know, one could argue or some kind of stuff, but I reject those kinds of arguments. I really hate them.
You ready? You ready for an amazing sight to behold?
Jumping off the
What?
dam.
Yes, just watch this.
But yeah, so GoldenEye is one of those games that people like to... It's sort of a little cool to hate in the sense that it's like, you know, people... It has an age well argument, which I don't really like, but... yeah, that's something a lot of people say about this game. It hasn't aged well. I think that, you know, it plays just fine on N64, but like I said, it does play better on mouse and keyboard. And I think the fact that it plays really well on mouse and keyboard shows that, you know, that it is just a well-designed game. For the most part. There are some quirks about it.
I think that you could say that it hasn't aged well in the same sense that, like, keyboard aim hasn't aged well.
Oh? Uh-oh.
Well, like, when someone plays Doom or something, you know, today, they're not thinking about how that game might have played to certain people. I don't think it still had mouse aim back in the day, right?
Yeah, I think so.
But certain people definitely played it with keyboard aim, and that was definitely a standard to program that in, but we don't have keyboard aim still around for the same reason that we really don't have single stick aim around in a lot of games anymore.
Yeah. I mean, I will say I do kind of like how this game feels even on N64, but mouse and keyboard is better.
Yeah.
Favorite thing about this game, well, one of my favorites, is like when the AI rolls, and you kill them before they finish their roll. They have to finish the roll before they can do their animation for dying.
Yeah. What do you mean? I thought I unlocked that.
Actually, back on the note of Doom for a second, I do think it's interesting how GoldenEye is... I don't know if one of the lost would be the right word, but it's definitely a later shooter that still used a very animation-based combat system that highly relied on concepts like stun locking with animations.
Yeah. And, like, that's sort of interesting, because generally, I really don't like shooters that hit scan enemies, but this game is entirely hit scan enemies, and I actually like it here. Because, like, they don't just shoot and, like, hit you immediately upon, you know, seeing you. They have to go through, they have a telegraphed aiming animation, like, or several of them they need to do. Oh, I just locked myself out of there. Great. But, so, you can actually react to it. Like, I don't like the hit scan enemies in Doom because they just... The animation for them aiming at you is very quick. So it's like there's one frame... They go into the pose of aiming at you, and then like a split second later they shoot. And most of the time they hit you because hit scan.
That is how hit scan works.
But with these guys, their animations are longer. Some are, you know, there are various lengths, and some can be rather quick. But, you know, because it's longer, there's more time for you to either shoot them or move out of the way, because when it's a lot easier to see where they're aiming than in Doom because of how the sprite-based thing works in Doom.
Well, I think in Doom especially, they aren't aiming anywhere but you, because it is just the sprites that, you know, lock on and then
Yeah.
go straight for you.
So it's a lot easier to dodge these because you can see where their guns are pointing. So it's like, generally, I really don't like hit scan, but I think it works in here. Now, there are still times when it's like they shoot a bit too fast for you to be able to react, especially like in some situations where you open a door and they're already ready to shoot. But, yeah. And also, the accuracy of them. Even if they're pointing directly at you, that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to hit you when they start shooting. Now, their accuracy does increase as the game goes on. Like, I'm on the hardest difficulty, and these guys haven't hit me once yet, even when they've been shooting at me. But later in the game, they're gonna be a lot more accurate.
I did not actually know that they had a ramping difficulty in that sense, other than just the difficulty modes. Because I know. Oh, what was I gonna say? Actually, one thing I was gonna mention was, if I'm not mistaken, GoldenEye does not have health pickups, right?
No, it has body armor, which is a...
Yeah.
It's kind of like the armor system in like Doom 2016, where it's essentially a second health bar. Instead of like the traditional armor system where it reduces damage to your health.
Ah.
So when you have body armor, only your body armor health will reduce when you get hit.
That is definitely quite different to a lot of other shooters.
Yeah. And there's no way to to heal yourself, but you can replenish your body armor if the level happens to have more than one body armor.
Is that particularly common?
On lower difficulties, it depends on level. I can't really tell you which levels might have more, but the higher difficulties have less body armor. Obviously, we're not going to be seeing body armor for a little while in this playthrough because it takes a while before levels start having them. But there are, a couple instances where I'll be able to pick up body armor, which is unlike Perfect Dark, where the highest difficulty, there is no shields at all.
Yeah. Well, even, I'm not too sure if just on the other difficulties it ramps it down a lot, but Perfect Dark, I remember very, very rarely finding armor.
Yeah. Saying just as long as we agree the Banjo 2 FPS multiplayer is superior, I agree. I don't know, I think this might be a little better balanced. Those grenade eggs are a bit silly. Yeah.
Actually, I just realized it's quite in keeping for Rare to make a first-person shooter, because wasn't there both first-person shooter segments in Conker and Banjo?
In Banjo 2.
Oh yeah, 2, okay.
Conker was third-person shooting.
Oh, it was third-person, okay.
Yeah, it's interesting because the first-person shooting in Banjo is basically GoldenEye, and third-person shooting in Conker is basically Jet Force Gemini.
Oh yeah, because they're Jet Force Gemini, I forgot about that.
Yeah. Okay,
Well,
so
actually,
I could basically blow this up at any point, but I'm letting the cutscene play out. Go on.
well, this game wasn't originally supposed to have multiplayer.
Yeah, that was like a last-minute addition, and it ended up being like the most popular thing about the game at the time.
That's interesting.
And
It is kind of funny how they can just make a last-minute... Actually, okay, no. Firstly, it's funny how they can make a last-minute multiplayer mode, and it's also funny how during the 7th generation, having a last-minute multiplayer mode was oftentimes a critique of a lot of games.
Yeah. I mean, the multiplayer mode in this game is pretty simple, but, it doesn't need to be complicated to be fun.
No, definitely not.
Yeah, I mostly play this game for the single player, mostly because I don't really have people to play the multiplayer with.
Yeah.
I did play a bit of the multiplayer with my sister, and I think a couple times with Ben when I met up with him. I think so, right? We definitely did, right?
Think so.
Like, I don't know why we wouldn't have.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree.
This is now you two realizing that you squandered the one opportunity you had.
We met up like 3 times already.
Also, right here, we get to drive a tank.
Ooh, fun.
Boy, I love the sounds of crushing people
Yeah.
with it.
It makes a very, stock splat sound effect.
Like, very visceral.
Honestly, I think they use those sound effects in, like, Banjo and or DK64 at some point, probably. Wouldn't be surprised. Rare used quite a lot of stock sound effects in their games back then.
When as I found out, I'm pretty sure, like, the rocket launcher sound is a depth charge launcher from a movie.
To,
Oh, also I remember watching seeing a mod that replaced the plane with like James Bond.
right then. Alright, this is the shortest level in the game, so all I need to do is get a key and blow those things up, and then go the plane. Okay, surface. So yeah, this game I believe came out in '97.
Yeah.
So, one of Rare's earlier games on the N64. This came out before Banjo, I believe.
Yeah, Banjo was 98.
Yeah. But yeah, so their first attempt at a first-person shooter, and later in like, it was 2000, right, for Perfect Dark?
Pretty sure.
Yeah, and later they made Perfect Dark in the same system, and I'm just gonna say, GoldenEye walked so Perfect Dark could run. Like,
And Perfect Dark ran, so Perfect Dark's remake could absolutely soar.
Perfect Dark is GoldenEye, but better in every single way except frame rate. The N64 could not handle Perfect Dark. But luckily, there is an Xbox remake of it that, you know, runs at a smooth frame rate. And also, with this keyboard and mouse thing I'm doing, you can play the N64 version with, you know, smooth frame rate.
I will say, it is staggering how little change Perfect Dark needed to run very nicely. Because you're not even playing with mouse and keyboard. I was playing it with twin stick aiming, obviously. And
Yeah.
it was flawless. I never had any aiming issues with twin stick.
Yeah, like these two games, I do think, especially Perfect Dark, are held back by the systems they're on. Like, again, I do defend how these games play on N64, but Perfect Dark is rough on N64 because of the frame rate. And also, that game is just a lot harder than GoldenEye.
Oh, goodness, yes. The levels in that can be some absolute serpentine labyrinths that stretch on for 20, 30 minutes, depending on how well you know them.
The enemies are also a little smarter. They're not like the most smart enemies ever in an N64 game, after all. But they're smarter than GoldenEye, and they have better aim.
I will say, I think one of my favorite things about playing through Perfect Dark was the way that the game changed over time. Because you begin in that like big office building that's very Die Hard, and then you go into like the underground lab, and you know it becomes a very kind of like espionage thing, and then slowly, eventually, it just becomes like an alien invasion game.
Yeah.
And it's done surprisingly naturally, despite how little attention me and my friend were paying to stuff. Like, I think you ended up at like a Roswell type government base, and you like see the aliens, and we were like, "Oh my god, there's aliens!" And then the next level, like going through a ship or whatever. It's so well done. I love Perfect Dark so much.
Perfect Dark, I honestly think is probably one of, if not the most impressive 5th gen games. Which, for good and bad reasons. Bad because the system couldn't handle it.
Yeah.
I feel like for the game's own sake, it probably would have been better if it was a GameCube game. But now that we have the Xbox version as well as the keyboard and mouse, version.
Is there a keyboard and mouse mod for the 64 version of the game?
Yeah, using the same thing I'm using to play GoldenEye.
That actually might be worth me trying at some point.
Yeah, after the stream, I can give you a link to a video that gives a really clear tutorial on how to do this.
Oh, sweet, yeah. Because I would love to do that. It's been years since I played through Perfect Dark proper, and it's just, oh my goodness. I love it so much. I think the trifecta of me for, like, I guess the holy trinity of FPS games for me is probably, like, Perfect Dark, Half-Life 1, Titanfall 2.
Yeah. Like, I wasn't sure for a while where, like, if Perfect Dark would be my favorite shooter because of the frame rate, but playing it on mouse and keyboard, yeah, it is. It is my number one now.
So recommend...
I think...
Oh, no, go on.
I was just, I still think that something like Titanfall 2 is gonna cap it out for me, just because Monkey Brain needs speedy, explodey stuff to be the happiest, but Perfect Dark is still brilliant.
I was just gonna say...
Go on.
I might recommend also at some point giving the other Bond game for the N64 shot. See if there's a keyboard and mouse mode for that.
Yeah, I don't know. There are a whole bunch of Bond games. I don't think any of them has quite reached GoldenEye in terms of popularity. Some of them, some of them are decently popular, but GoldenEye is obviously the main one that people talk about.
You got the best gun in the game.
Clob?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
It's clobbering time. As much as I like to meme on the Clob, it's not that bad.
Is it meant to be a scorpion?
Yes.
Yeah,
I like the fact I could just see the rails on the top of it and instantly know that's what it was meant to be.
There's a Left 4 Dead 2 mod that turns one of the SMGs into this with this same model.
God.
I probably should stop using it because it's using up a lot of ammo. I'm gonna have to...
Neil Lincoln just said, out of the limited FPS games I've played, Perfect Dark, Metroid Prime 2, and Time Splitters 2 are probably my all-time favorites.
Yeah, Prime 2 is a bit of a
I've
different
never played
one,
the Time Splitters games. Aren't the Time Splitters games kind of GoldenEye-esque as well?
That's what I've heard.
They're made by former Rare employees. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I've heard. I do want to try them at some point. I just never got around to it.
Yeah, I think they were PlayStation games, right? PlayStation 2?
Yes.
I think some of them might have come out for the Xbox, but mostly yes.
Nah, I wonder if there's a way of getting them working. Time Splitters, mouse and keyboard.
Okay.
Oh, looks like there's a tutorial on how to do one on YouTube.
Okay.
So, that actually might be worth giving a shot at some point.
Okay. Now I need to go and take Boris over to...
I am invincible!
Not yet. I like how you could just throw the key when you analyze it just anywhere. You don't have to put it back where you found it, you can just throw it on the floor.
They'll never suspect anything happened here.
But yeah, Perfect Dark, like that game is really ahead of its time. It has a weapon wheel. Like, I think me and Rain did determine it wasn't like the first game to do that. I think one of the Turok games might have done it first, but at least maybe not necessarily first, but before Perfect Dark. But like a weapon wheel back in 2000, you know?
Yeah, no. It's definitely probably one of the earlier implementations of a weapon wheel. Also, from the briefing I looked at, it looks like you can do Time Splitters 2 with mouse and keyboard through Dolphin.
Ooh. I'll have to try that out.
Yeah. I wonder if actually just installing it into Prime Hack would work.
Yeah, Data Thief is what I was supposed to use.
Also, I always think of the programmer guy from this game as the guy from Spy Kids, because it's the same actor,
Uh,
if I'm not mistaken. What's his name? Yeah, no, Boris from GoldenEye is played by the guy that played the guy from Spy Kids. God, what was his name? Spy Kids 1. Fegan Floop,
That name.
played by Alan Cumming.
Nice.
No jokes.
Neil Lanky's asking if either of you guys stream.
I do not have. I have not streamed actually. This event has been the first time I've streamed. I've been a co-host on one of Red's streams before, but yeah, no. Up until this event, I had never streamed.
No, I mean, like, I've started streaming in the Discord server that we're all in. Mainly also because I finally got a headphone, so people don't have to listen to my laptop. But I've never done it, like, by myself.
Oh, actually, a funny story, Ben. One time, I think you were in the call, and I opened up the donations page, and because on the donations page it automatically starts playing a Twitch broadcast, I thought the Twitch stream was playing through your microphone for a second, and I got really confused because I looked at Discord, and your green light was on, so I was like, wait, what's going on? Hang on a minute. Figured that one out pretty quick, but I do think it's funny that my first reaction to hearing feedback audio was just, wait, this is Ben's doing. I know it.
And Neil Lanky, you're gonna stay up for my stream, or because I'm next?
Indeed he is. It'll be a good time. We are going to be playing Cold Fear.
Probably never heard of it.
Think of Resident Evil 4, but put it on a boat and make it Russian.
More janky, although from what the bit I was playing to show my friend, the PS2 version I think has less issues than the PC version.
That's
Although,
impressive.
well, it's like they smoothed out some things that are glitchy or derpy with the PC version.
Speaking of smoothing out issues, we are supporting the charity Direct Relief, which helps to try and smooth out the issues of people in times of crisis all around the world. They have helped with disaster relief, humanitarian crises, and this stream is supporting them. So 100% of donations that go towards the stream will be going towards Direct Relief. If you're interested in supporting Direct Relief, we would appreciate any kind of donation. If you do not want to make a donation, please just sit around and enjoy the show. And if you would be so kind to share around the stream as well with anyone that you think might be interested in either watching or supporting, please do. There you go. Sorry, had to do the plug. It's been a while.
That was a pretty smooth transition.
I know, I was waiting. Oh yes, let me just find the schedule for you, Neil Lanky. It is on the Twitter page, which the Twitter page is at New Day Charity if you want to follow that for updates on when new events go live, which unfortunately I didn't post because I forgot about Golden. Let me just tweet that out real quick. 4:30 a.m. Eastern time is when we're starting Cold Fear, so you might not be around for that.
I think he might be in the Eastern time zone. I think.
I don't know. Yes.
But yeah. Whether or not you stick around, still appreciate you being here at all. And the donations you made. Yeah, looks like hit a low in terms of viewers, but that's fine.
Yeah, it happens.
I mean, yeah, it's already really impressive what has already been done. This level silo is actually one that I haven't even been able to beat on Secret Agent on N64, mostly because of the time limit. Oh, this part here, you need to rush forward to get that guy to run away because you can't kill him.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And he'll just keep shooting you, and
I do think it's interesting that all of the AKs don't have a stock on them.
Yeah, I would not want to shoot an AK without a stock.
Maybe that's why their aim is so bad.
It all makes sense now. There was a canonical explanation staring us in the face all along.
Alright, it's Silo.
Wonderful. I will say, I don't know if miss is the right word, but there's definitely a particular character for FPS games of this kind of period with the way that you don't, if I'm not mistaken, need to interact with doors to open them up. You just kind of look at them or get too close to them.
I mean, this one you do have to push a button to open them.
Oh yeah. I think Half-Life is what I was thinking of then.
Yeah, ignore the water.
Oh yeah. Oh yes.
You didn't see anything.
Wasn't this the level that there was that whole like speedrunning cheating fiasco about at one point?
Maybe.
I feel like it was. Or
This
maybe this was just the footage that was used in a GoldenEye speedrun video that I was watching that discussed some cheating.
Maybe.
Maybe. Maybe.
Okay, so we want to be careful in this level because we need to save hostages. You want to make sure not to shoot them yourself, but also when you reach one, you have like only a second to shoot the guy pointing his gun at the hostage, because he will kill the hostage. And
interesting.
And I think you can only let like one or maybe two die on Double O Agent.
And this level's a nightmare if you do it with enemy rockets.
Tuh. You also only start with 20 bullets in this gun for some reason. Like, why do you? It's a hostage situation. You only brought 20 bullets.
I only need 20 bullets.
I mean, the enemies drop ammo for this weapon, so it's like
That's convenient.
You quickly get ammo, but well, that guy just popped in.
Oh.
Oh.
No, that is certainly interesting.
I accidentally shot that hostage, but I didn't kill him, so it's fine.
Oh, thank goodness.
Yeah, you really want to be careful not to kill them yourself.
Yeah. The current charity stream event, just I don't know if you are aware. We're ending in 10 hours, but yeah, if you wanted to organize something else with whatever, yeah. But yeah, we are getting real close to the end of the stream, which is pretty exciting. Also a little bit nerve-wracking because it means I have to play Majora's Mask, which I'm not out of practice, but yeah, it's definitely gonna.
I mean, the time is going to be a lot more lenient because it's the last event, so.
Yeah, exactly. But also you have to remember that I want to sleep at some point.
Yeah, you could sleep when you're dead.
Good point.
Sooner than you think if we have to stay up much longer.
Ben, you're definitely going to need to get some sleep after Cold Fear.
Yep. What time did you get up today, Ben?
1 or 2, I think.
Afternoon?
Yeah.
Okay. I went to sleep around 8 or 9 in the morning, and then I woke up at about 5, and then I didn't fully get back to sleep, but I laid in bed and got pretty close till about 7-ish. So I've been very well rested.
7.5 hours last night, but only 4 the first night.
Yeah, I also went and grabbed myself some more energy drinks before I came back this evening, so. I'm planning on maybe cracking one of those open in a little bit. However, I do need to get some water right now, so I will go do that. I'll be back in a few minutes with the water.
Hydrate yourself. try the helicopter again? Oh, whatever, I'll just go back up. Alright, hostages rescued.
I'll also admit, I love playing this level on easy just so I can pretend like I'm sabotaging the boat
Say,
by blowing up the engines.
wait, you can actually blow up the engines?
Yeah, well, if you shoot the, the plastique.
Okay, put the track plug on there, and we are good to go.
Also, this is the only level that has the Spectre, aka the Phantom, in this game.
It's weird how, like, some weapons are only, like, there for one level. And, like, you can get them in the, in multiplayer, obviously, but, like, considering multiplayer was a last-minute thing, it does seem kind of odd. Wait, no, went the wrong way. Yeah, getting out from the engines down here sometimes can be a little tricky. There's the right stairs. Yeah, all we need to do is just make our way back to the boat where we started. I don't know where the hostages went because I think they make their way to this boat, right?
But they despawn, like, they just despawn eventually.
Oh yeah. Yeah, so I don't know what happens to them. I don't know how they escape.
This level, I'll admit, scared me when I was younger. Just because of the darkness and the infinitely spawning enemies.
Hmm. This level sort of tripped me up a bit on my first test run because I forgot where all the surveillance cameras were. Anyway, so I do feel this game is a bit of the Mario 64 fan perception, but appreciate it for the stepping stone it is. But both Mario 64 and 007 are both good. Could sort of see it. I mean, I really like Mario 64, but like, it certainly has been outdone, even like on the system like Banjo and DK, obviously. And again, Perfect Dark just destroys GoldenEye. But I still think, you know, it's really good for what it is. Even though Perfect Dark is my favorite FPS, and you know, obviously, as I've expressed, better than GoldenEye. It's a lot easier to come back to GoldenEye because, again, Perfect Dark is a lot harder. So it's like, you know, GoldenEye is an easy game to go to if you just want like some quick fun. Perfect Dark, you need to be prepared. I guess a kind of similar way with Banjo-Kazooie versus Banjo-Tooie, where Banjo-Tooie, like, it's so much bigger, has a lot more stuff, and just overall, I love it a lot more than the first Banjo. But the first Banjo's small and simple, easy to replay.
Yeah. Yeah, no, Tui can be a doozy.
And I guess if we're going with the Mario 64 there, I would also say I prefer Sunshine, but Sunshine takes a bit more effort to replay as opposed to Mario 64 being short and simple. So it's like I could replay Mario 64 like easily anytime. Sunshine, while I prefer it generally, um, need to be in the right mood for it. You have any games like that, Ben?
Cold Fear. The Adventures of Batman and Robin.
As in a game you can easily just replay? Or...
Yeah. I mean, I've never beaten Adventures of Batman and Robin, but I go back to it so damn much. The Genesis version. I mean, I have both, but the Genesis version is just head over heels better than the SNES version.
Well, they both play pretty differently. Okay. This level I also need to be a bit careful on because, like, there's one objective I need to pick up a document that one of the enemies drops, and on my second test run I failed to pick it up first time. So I had to, like, run around to find it.
I also have the SNES version, but, like, I bought my Genesis for that game. It is my all-time favorite game.
Okay, we're just gonna ignore Natalia.
Slap.
We're just gonna bunker ourselves in here for a moment. We need ammo.
I'll admit that it might not be for everyone's taste, but the music in that game, the best thing ever.
Oof. There are a couple levels in here that just spam me with enemies right at the start. Yeah, generally a good idea just to stay here, keep killing things. A couple enemies with, like, key cards will just bring themselves to you. And you'll be getting a lot of ammo from the enemies you kill.
Shaq Fu on the SNES and Genesis. I agree with you. It's because that generation, there was a lot more difference between, like, ports for different games.
Yeah, you don't really see that anymore.
Because I think it was like they literally had, like, different developers working on different versions.
Okay.
Yes, I've heard really good things about the Genesis version. Actually, if you want to see another really impressive Genesis game, look up Red Zone. Also always loved how massively huge those turrets were.
Honestly, I think the turrets are the worst part of the game.
Oh, I agree with you, but I love how massively oversized they are.
Oh, yeah, that's one right there. Just need to find the right angle where they can't shoot at you. Okay, we're past the giant wave of enemies at the start. Okay, go back here and open this. That's that objective done. Okay. Still need to compare staff and casualty lists, which means I need to pick up something from an enemy, and then disable all the cameras, and then I can leave.
This is also like the only level where you can dual wield the silenced PP7.
Yeah. Not that I ever really do, because just stick with the AK with this one. Hey. Oh. Okay, objective A complete. So I know where security cameras are, so I can go do that, and then I can go and get Natalia.
No, he did not. I wasn't even aware you had a race with them.
Huh? Oh yeah, a while ago, me and him attempted to do a DK64 race. We didn't finish it, but he was in the lead for most of it until we got to Gloomy Galleon, where I pulled ahead.
Neo Lanky seems to be under the impression you cheated.
Skill issue. Okay. Yep, just need to escape with Natalia. I need to find my way back to her. It can be a little confusing navigating some of these levels. Yeah, at some point we probably should try that again. Alright, so now we have Natalia, which is one of the... It was an infamous example of a escort mission, but for the most part, I don't really find her that bad because, well, as I just did, you can clear out the level of enemies before having to free her.
What a coincidence, because that's the exact same issue Red has with his way.
Yeah, I mean, I have, I can still play him on Wii U.
I think the only console I have an issue with that with is my PS2. Both of them.
Wasn't the PS2 notorious for dying?
It's not exactly the best put together system.
Neither was the Xbox 360.
Yeah.
That burnt itself to death often.
They didn't design, if they didn't design the case first and then put the internals after.
Yeah. But yeah, so Natalia, I don't think she's too bad, but at least the people who complain about her have more of a point than the people who complain about Ashley in Resident Evil 4.
It's actually kind of funny. When I was playing through RE4 for the first time recently, I think there are... Well, firstly, there's only a handful of segments where you actually have Ashley with you.
Yeah.
I want to say that it's maybe 2 or 3 hours of the game total.
Yeah, I mean, it's not an insignificant amount of time, but...
Well,
yeah.
for a game that took me like 15 hours to beat, that's, what, a fifth of it? Maybe a quarter? It's definitely not a bulk of the game. But the other thing is that, along with that, there are very few of those segments where Ashley is like easily thingable, because oftentimes, as you've mentioned, she sticks right to you.
Yeah.
And so it can be fairly easy to just, keep her out of enemies' way by just keeping out of enemies' way yourself. It's pretty natural.
Yeah. But yeah, so Natalia, she could be slow. It can be easy to shoot her yourself in certain situations, but generally I still don't really find her that bad. There's one level in particular where it could be troublesome because of one section where you need to defend her. But otherwise, you don't really have to worry about it. That last level, again, you can just clear out the enemies before you free her from her cell.
Neolanky just asked in chat, what's everyone's favorite PS2 game?
Sly 2 Band of Thieves.
Ooh. That's honestly hard for me to pick, mostly because I haven't played a ton of PlayStation 2 games.
I'd go with Time Crisis Zone, but I really, really, really want to give Ring of Red more of an opportunity.
And you're not just saying that because Red's hosting right now.
Ring of Red is just a fascinating game that is post-World War II turn-based mech game set in a divided Japan between communist and capitalist.
Interesting. I don't know. I think it'd be pretty hard for me to pick a favorite PS2 game just because I said I haven't played a ton. Sly 2 might be my favorite of the ones I played, but I've only played through about half of that game.
Ooh, you need to finish that.
At some point. I will say Sly 2 does a really good job of the mission structure in Sly 2 does a very, very good job of mimicking the narrative structure of a heist film.
Yeah, that was a lot of the point of it.
And that's one of the reasons why I enjoyed it so much. Because I really love Payday 2, but for as much as I like Payday 2, the only part of the heist that Payday 2 does is the actual thing itself. And most heist games really focused on the heist themselves. But I think Sly does a really good job of focusing on all of the kind of planning and setup stuff that really makes, the films that go into that really interesting, right?
Yeah.
The
it's like
best
each
part of
mission
Ocean's 11
leading up to the heist is, is relevant to the heist. I mean, with a couple exceptions, but.
Well, yeah, and also your case in the joint, right?
Yeah.
As I was about to say, the best part of Ocean's 11 isn't necessarily the part where they're in the middle of the heist. It's the fact that, they go in through and explain the heist plan that they had, and that's exactly what all of the Sly 2 thing is. Admittedly, with Ocean's 11, there's a little bit of a twist with it, but you get the idea. The cool bit is seeing how everything maps out, and then the fact that it pays off at the end is fun. But you need to do all that build up. If you just go straight to the payoff, it doesn't have that same feeling.
Yeah.
Neolanky said, mine's probably one of the Ratchet & Clank games.
Those are pretty good too.
I'm not very familiar with the Ratchet & Clank games, but I did very much enjoy Sunset Overdrive, which is another Insomniac game about crazy weird guns.
Never played that one.
It's bad.
Sunset Overdrive is my second favorite superhero game.
I'm guessing your first was Arkham Knight?
Yeah, I think Arkham Knight. It'd probably go like Arkham Knight, Sunset Overdrive, Web of Shadows.
I guess mine would be Infamous 2.
Yeah, it's Sunset Overdrive very much plays in the same vein as your prototypes, Infamous and other licensed superhero games, which is kind of funny because Insomniac did go on to make Spider-Man right after Sunset Overdrive, which is very fitting.
I did rather enjoy Web Shadows as well.
Yeah. Just to build off what you said, Neil, I'm pretty sure that Spider-Man PS4 is actually one of Harane's favorite games.
Yeah.
I do want to
Anyways.
try Miles Morales because I think I'll enjoy that more than I did Spider-Man PS4.
Anyway, so I want to point it out before we end the level because I'm really close to it. This is the only level with a shotgun in it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you will.
You know what?
And the funny
One-
thing is, there are two different shotguns, and the other shotgun doesn't appear anywhere in the game. Like, obviously, both these guns are in the multiplayer, but it seems kind of weird that they have a level with a shotgun in it that you can only use in the multiplayer.
One other thing that I do,
Otherwise,
one other thing that I do really appreciate about the shotgun is if you use up the ammo,
yeah,
the
it starts
bullets.
so it starts disappearing from the side of the.
Yeah,
But
and like I was replaying a kind of shitty game called Deadfall Adventures, which is a 360 game,
Oh, yes, yes.
and that doesn't have that.
uh, yeah, when the N64 game does better attention to detail.
I will say I do love the fact that this is like the weird communism graveyard slash sculpture creation.
Yeah,
Zone.
like there's a like this part where they're in a helicopter that explodes is in the movie, but I forget how much of this area they are in, and I don't know if there's all that stuff there in the movie.
As I said, I don't think the marble sculpture communism graveyard was in the movie.
It's kind of funny.
Like you just said, right? I just want to mention this. Ultimate Spider-Man for the GameCube is probably my second favorite Spider-Man game because you can control Venom and eat the kid with the balloon.
Okay, I didn't actually mean to start
level?
shooting now. They usually don't attack you until you bring the gun out.
I love this level, especially if like you're just camping in this room, because it's
Yeah.
really fun just shooting people.
Does everyone just filter in through the corridor?
Well, because it's an infinite.
This
spawn of
level,
them.
yeah, this level spams enemies right at the beginning. I like to wait around just to get ammo before I move on.
Ah, yes.
Yeah, just like that one where we had to rescue Natalia. Well, the first time we had to rescue her. Yeah, they start you out with like nothing, and you have to like just defeat the enemies right away to get your guns, and then build up your ammo as you go on. And they spam enemies right at the start.
Hmm.
Like this level's really chaotic.
Mind you, I guess this level has a better explanation for starting out with a little bit of ammo rather than the hostage one.
Yeah, I think in the movie there's a character that leaves a gun on the table for him.
Yeah, no, it's Amarov does because he wants to frame Bond for killing
Yeah.
Defense Minister Mishkin.
I'll pretend I know who those people are.
It's been a long time since I've seen the movie, so I don't really remember a whole lot of the plot.
Yeah.
If you're interested in the plot of GoldenEye, this game is not the best way to experience it.
That's why you need to read the book before you watch the movie, before you play the game. I don't know if there is a book. I'm just guessing there is.
Yeah. Anyways, you were talking about some stuff before we... Or are you done?
I think we were just talking a little bit about Insomniac and the Spider-Man stuff.
Alright.
I will say with Ultimate Spider-Man, I do quite enjoy it, but the web swinging was a little bit on rails for my liking, and I got a little bit tired of it. I really did like Venom jumping around and stuff, but I think you have to beat the campaign to free roam as him, which
Yeah.
I never ended up doing. And the combat was also a little basic, but it's not bad. I really do like how when you knock down enemies, you have to web them up, so it's kind of got this idea where it's like Spider-Man's actually trying to apprehend the criminals.
Though it is a little silly that they just keep coming back up otherwise.
It is. It is.
Also, this is the character I was talking about.
Ah.
So he actually lives in this, which is
Yeah.
in the game, but not the movie.
One thing about this game that's a little flawed is sometimes the objectives aren't like conveyed too well of what you have to do. Like, and also like it could be easy to fail objectives. Like you go in here, you see this guy, you might not know he's friendly, and just shoot him and then fail the mission.
Yeah.
The first time I played the game in the second level where you're supposed to meet up with Trevelyan, I just shot him immediately because I thought he was an enemy.
It's also weird. Well, just this is a bit of a history thing, but since the Soviet Union collapsed in 91 and this takes place after 91, the Politburo would not exist.
Hmm. Oh yeah, Neil Lanky, I remember some of the Venom boss fights actually were fairly difficult. I don't remember if it was just that one. I think I struggled a little bit with the Wolverine one too, but that was actually pretty fun. I think Venom, instead of having just regular light and heavy attacks, you had tendril attacks and fist attacks, which I think was a lot more interesting for combos than what Spider-Man had.
Yeah.
Also, Spider-Man's quite a good game. I don't dislike it. I just, didn't absolutely adore it, and other stuff came up that I just kind of was more interested in.
Yeah, the only Spider-Man games I played were Ultimate and Web of Shadow. I did like them a decent amount, but they're not ones I've gone back to much.
Web of Shadows is a personal favorite, just because the movement in that game is impeccable.
Yeah, I would say I probably do prefer that one because, web swinging is just as fun as the others, and the combat is just better.
Oh, sorry, which one?
Web of Shadows.
Yeah, oh, the combat in Web of Shadows is ridiculously good. Honestly, it has no right as being as good as it is. I think it's probably one of the best examples of a game of like a 2 moveset thing that you can switch between at the press of a button. Just the way they've made the 2 flow into each other, the way they had niche use cases for both of them that were still usable, and then the way that the combat and traversal actually flowed into each other quite well.
I like how these bullet holes stay even though the window's broken.
Yeah. Yeah, Neil Lanky, I definitely liked Venom's jumping around in Ultimate, but it would be kind of cool if they gave him options to like both do super jumps and also maybe like tendril whip to places, like Spider-Man has the web zip. Maybe do tendril zip. I think tendril zip actually might be in the game, but maybe use tendrils some more than just zipping around forward. Acetone just asks, oh hey, I managed to wake up early enough, what did I miss? Well, I don't know when you were in the stream last, but we had Red try and do the Impossible Lair in Ukulele and the Impossible Lair without the Beatalion, and he got 39% of the way, I think, through on his first run. Just before that, it was Mario Party, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then up next we have Cold Fear. So that's kind of what the last few hours has looked like.
I'm just playing some GoldenEye on double O agent difficulty.
And if you can't tell, he's using mouse and keyboard.
Yeah. I would not be able to do the whole game on double O agent on N64. In the time, that is. Okay, so we actually have a pretty limited time limit to starting out, but we fixed that by talking to this guy. Which we have to do anyway, because he's part of the objective.
What an absolute thumb of a character.
Yeah, we talked to him in the park level as well.
Just
he's played by Hagrid in the movie.
Oh yeah? That's amazing.
And there was a mod that basically replaced all of the characters with Mario characters, and he was Wario.
That's perfect.
Nice. Also, gotta say, Perfect Dark being fully voice acted helped a lot in me actually caring about what was happening in that game.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, I didn't read anything he says. I don't remember what he says.
Also, though, as I was talking about earlier, I think Perfect Dark does a really good job of using the environment to tell its story as well. And obviously, the story was a lot more built for the game rather than trying to be retrofitted into one.
Yeah.
Perfect Dark's just better.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mind you, that isn't really saying much negative about GoldenEye, because it's like, oh yeah, one of the best games of all time is better than another one of the best games of all time.
It's like, I mean, I do love. I'm dead. Yeah, this one's easy to die on because they have rocket launchers.
Oh man, you just completely got
Yeah.
destroyed very quickly.
I probably should not go that way.
Well, probably he died in the...
Okay. That's okay, this level isn't too long, so it's not much of a setback.
Like he said, Diddy Kong Racing's voice acting was superb, Kappa.
Yeah. It was alright. My only issue with that is the boss, the bosses basically all say the same thing. They don't have much personality.
The elephant is just a racial stereotype.
Maybe.
You know, also in terms of talking about difficulty, it's really interesting how much easier GoldenEye is with mouse and keyboard, and yet Perfect Dark retains a lot of its difficulty even with mouse and keyboard.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like it's obviously easier than N64, but I had to try real hard to beat every level on Perfect Agent, even on mouse and keyboard.
I will say there were two directions with the talking about thing you just said that you went with, and I'm glad you picked the one you did.
No. Okay.
Ooh.
Yeah. On N64, I couldn't get past airbase espionage. Like, that's as far as I managed to get on N64 before I just couldn't continue on Perfect Agent. But I did manage to beat every level, including the bonus ones, on Perfect Agent with mouse and keyboard. It took some effort. Honestly, using the tank turret in this is not really worth it. Oh, I made a mistake.
You went to the wrong neighborhood.
It's okay. Oh no. This was the wrong way to go. I did so much better in this level on the test run. The tank turret's hard to aim with, so it's not the best to use against enemies, but you kind of need it against these mines. You mostly want to ignore enemies, though, because you're on a time limit.
Hmm.
Yeah, this is something I don't think Perfect Dark really did, like having vehicles.
I don't remember there being vehicles. Not to say there wasn't, I just don't recall.
Yeah, I don't recall either. Oh boy, I might not survive this one either. Hope I cleared out all of them. Oh no. How am I still alive? I just need to hurry. Oh, barely survived that. Oh. Like one more hit would have killed me. But yeah, I mean, not that I think Perfect Dark is lesser for not having vehicles. I don't think it really needs it. Like, the tank in this, while it's kind of a neat set piece, isn't the most fun. Like, it's fun running over enemies, but not really in that level because of the timer. Also, I don't think I pointed this out, but for this run I'm only doing the main missions, but if there is time left over, I will also do Aztec and Egyptian.
Oh, you poor man.
Aztec, honestly, isn't that bad. It's just only the beginning area that's tough, because the guys are so accurate.
Isn't there a Counter-Strike map called Aztec?
Yes.
Ugh. The turrets are the worst part of that game. They're so annoying. Okay, well I took a lot of damage right away, so I need to be careful for the rest of the level.
I wonder if that was a GoldenEye reference.
Would be. Hey
Whoa.
guys.
You dick! You shot him in the shin.
Whoa, that guy threw a grenade. I don't know why they can't open those. The enemies usually can open doors.
You're truly a special breed.
Yeah, some of these entrances do have like body armor on lower difficulties, but from my testing, for the test runs, I couldn't find any on Double Agent.
I was pretty Adam, I was pretty sure you could actually shoot them through. Shoot them through the walls when they clip like that.
Maybe it
Well, I mean,
wasn't.
like, I know you can do it with the Cougar Magnum, but I thought you could do it with, like, the other guns.
No, it didn't. Didn't when I tried there, but maybe it wasn't quite far enough in.
So that's what you get for using 9mm.
Okay, now I did that. The only thing left, obtain safe key. Wait, where do I? Wait, I think it was in that previous. Oh, jeez. Okay, they opened this one. Why couldn't they open the last one?
You just so happen to find the really special ones.
Wait. Let me go back here. Did I forget to pick up the safe key? I did. Okay, now we can go to the end. This
Oh,
level,
really?
I remember giving me trouble a lot on N64 trying Double O Agent, because you're just trying to find where the objectives are, but once you know where they are, it's pretty simple. You were saying something?
Well, there's also a really funny glitch you can do in this. Like, if you set the controls for the N64 a certain way. Like, when you finish the mission, Bond will start, like, aiming up, will just start shooting, like, up and down.
Huh.
God, these guards suck.
So, Bond will only shoot those guys in the cutscene if you don't kill the guys in the train? Okay, train. This level can be a little tough, mainly because at the end you need to, like, quickly shoot, I forget what her name is, but you have to shoot her in order to extend the time, otherwise you won't have enough time to complete the objective.
God, there's also a, Grasslow, I think is his username. You know who I'm talking about, right? Red?
Wait, who?
He's the guy who does a lot of, Bonds games. So, he was doing this level, and when he used the laser on the trapdoor thing, it's like the laser got deflected by the trapdoor and killed him.
What?
Yeah.
That's a thing that can happen?
Yeah. Well, I'll send you the video. Yeah, here it is.
Oh, is that a donation I hear?
Let me check the page. Ah, here we go. Neo donated $2. Fun hanging out with the stream today. Hope the final 9 hours go well for you all. Have a good rest of your days/nights. Thank you very much, Neo.
Much appreciated.
Also, Red, I sent you it on Discord, so.
Yeah, I'll check it out later. How are we, in terms of the next goal?
We are currently sitting at $1,204 out of 1,220, so we are $16 away from our
Alright.
next goal.
If you want to
And-
hear me sing another DK song, be sure to donate.
Yes, Neo Lanky, you were truly a god amongst men in those two
Absolute
games.
high roller with a combined total of, I believe, $4 in donations. That man's just.
Any bit helps.
I know. It's great. We love having you around. We love having you in chat. Thank you very, very much for pitching in what you felt comfortable doing. It's wonderful.
And hopefully see you in Red's Discord.
Yeah.
Okay, this is the final part. We need to quickly go in and shoot both of them. First him, then her. Oh, I hit her, but I don't know if I killed. Oh. Yeah, I think I might have failed this. I have to wait a bit for her to
Have
start.
a good night, Lanky. Thanks for coming in and joining.
Yeah, thanks for being here.
Also, speaking of donations, it's probably worth mentioning what these donations are going towards, and that is the charity Direct Relief. 100% of all donations are going towards them, and they're a charity which support people in times of crisis. So they've done help in humanitarian crises, they've done help with disaster relief, they're currently active in the situation in Ukraine, helping people out there. And so if that is a charity that you think you'd be interested in putting some money towards, we would appreciate a donation. If you don't feel comfortable donating, that's more than all right. Please just enjoy the stream. And if you feel comfortable or want to support it in a way that's not purely monetary, you can always just share the stream around, whether it be because you think there's someone that might enjoy watching it along with you, or maybe because you think they might be interested in donating. Currently, we are playing through GoldenEye 007 for the N64 on the, what was it, Perfect Agent difficulty or Secret Agent?
Double agent.
00 Agent, sorry. We're playing on the 00 Agent difficulty, which is the highest base difficulty without the custom one. I don't know if you can make the custom one more difficult.
Yes, you can. You can
yeah,
give
so-
the enemies 100% accuracy.
Oh, okay. So yes, we're playing on the highest regular difficulty. And after this, we will have Ben be playing through Cold Fear, which is a personal favorite of his.
You have to redo
So
this level.
if you're playing on Agent, you get the P90 in one of the boxes.
Huh.
Oh, really?
Only agent?
Yeah.
That's a shame. So with that wrist-mounted thing, is that just a laser, or?
Yeah. Like, you can use it to kill enemies, I believe, but you primarily use it to destroy the brakes.
Got it.
Oh, I thought you could just shoot them.
Well, you can as well. Like, you can just shoot them with a gun, but I like it from a laser.
Nice.
Sit. This level's pretty action-packed.
Man, it's really weird. The GoldenEye 007 Twitch category has the exact same description for both the remake and the original game.
Yeah.
Which is very weird because there's the remake, which has a different title, doesn't it?
I don't think
That
so.
was GoldenEye Reloaded.
Yeah,
Well,
reloaded that.
well, that's like the Xbox and PlayStation version. I think the Wii version was just called GoldenEye.
Oh yeah, well, that's interesting.
You say that, Adam, but the first thing that I think of, well, the first thing I think of when you say that is, from Ace Ventura when he keeps pointing to each of his legs.
The Amazon listing calls it James Bond GoldenEye 007. Oh yeah, no, it's called GoldenEye 007. So that's interesting. Twitch doesn't actually have a proper category for the N64 game. Except
Did it for you.
does, because on the Twitch page right now, the icon is for the what? Okay, on the Twitch category, it has the icon for the Wii game, but on the actual Twitch stream that I have open in the dashboard right now, it has the N64 box up.
I think I failed again. Ah!
So it's simultaneously both the N64 and Wii game. Oh, I didn't know it actually was a pretty okay weapon.
Well,
Yeah,
the main reason,
Yeah, he started the timer early. I don't think I'm gonna
the
make
main
it.
reason that you don't want to use it is because you want to be. The only way to open this is to use
Yeah,
laser.
you need it for objectives.
I should probably just quit and restart because I didn't. You need to shoot her at the end in order to delay the timer to give you enough time to complete the other objectives and leave. It's probably why this is one of the harder levels. Not necessarily because you'll be dying in it, but because you won't be able to save Natalia. So many boxes around, and when they shoot the boxes, they explode, and that hurts you.
One of the things I love about this game is that everything explodes.
That is pretty great.
One thing that can be annoying is like enemies, even like in their dying animations, can block your shots.
That is somewhat frustrating.
Yeah, but they can shoot through them.
Cheaters.
You're just jealous of their hit scan.
Wait, you're hit scan too, aren't you?
Yep.
Also, I know that this is kind of petty, but it does bother me. Like how these guns have like really big, like front sights or like rear sights. No, front sights.
Yeah.
But there's no other sight.
It's definitely an interesting design decision. It's incomprehensible, but it's interesting.
Why does it keep being one guy behind me? That didn't really happen in the test runs. Okay. Need to
Keep
go
on your
in,
feet, Fred.
kill the guy, then don't know if that counted. Come on, Natalia. It didn't count. I pushed the wrong button. Let me... Whoop. Sorry about that.
We can see what your desktop is.
Yeah, for some reason, escape does that. I need to push enter to pause.
Yeah, well, it's because doesn't escape just come with the emulator?
Yeah.
You mean our totally legitimate N64 copy?
With a mouse.
Yeah, and 60 FPS and widescreen.
They released a day one patch.
Ugh.
You took a lot of damage there.
Yeah, I mean, I'll probably be fine. You know, I did this, like, first try on my last test run.
Yeah, but now you're being recorded.
And judged deeply.
By all 9 of us.
But yeah, but like, pretty impressive 9-person audience if I do say
Actually
so.
10, because one of my friends is watching, but he doesn't have a Twitch account.
I think that still counts as a viewer, doesn't it?
I
I
have
actually
no
don't
one.
know how Twitch counts as viewers. If anyone in chat knows exactly how Twitch counts as viewers, speak up. If someone in chat doesn't know but wants to make up an answer and say it as if they know the answer, also speak up.
How are we doing on time?
It is currently 3:44, so we have just under half an hour? No, half an hour. Just under an hour.
I was gonna say, whoa. Didn't think I was doing that much worse than my test runs.
You have 5 minutes.
Oh no. Yeah, if I keep messing up the level, I might not be able to do the bonus levels.
They call bonus for a reason.
I also love how they hold him sideways like that.
There's the dude that comes from behind, because that keeps happening, apparently.
My best guess, Adam, would be depending on what features they have.
I'd imagine also lighting.
Are you
probably
kidding
a
me?
big thing.
That killed Natalia. Oh. Why am I doing so bad at this level?
Is there any particular game you were thinking about when you were asking that question? Aston?
Red. Maybe you should have gone with Perfect Dark.
I did not be able to do that. I think the only possible way I could do Perfect Dark is to play it on just Agent.
Did the N64 game have split screen, or was that an addition to the Xbox Live version?
Oh, it did.
Wow, that must have ran awfully.
Yeah. I don't think, as far as I know, I don't think the Xbox version really added any features, like, or modes or something. At least I don't think it did. I could be wrong.
I have no idea either. I was just curious because I was wondering if you said the game didn't run already. I'm wondering how split screen would have worked. Correct
Yeah,
answer.
it's
Kind of.
it's not pretty.
Functions.
Legally speaking, it functions.
You know, also, speaking of Perfect Dark being ahead of its time, like, the multiplayer options, like, in terms of bot customization,
Yeah.
like, oh,
What kind of things were in that game for bot customization?
like, first off, you could customize their appearance. It was just, like, bodies and heads that you can swap out.
That's cool.
But, you can fully customize that with, like, every character model. They also could customize how difficult their AI is, as well as give them different like personalities. Like, you know, there's just the normal, easy, medium, hard, like perfect mode ones, but then like you have like ones that will target specific players, like ones that only target the ones in the lead, or ones that only target the ones in at the bottom. And like there's like one type that exclusively goes after the one that goes after the weaker ones. Like
Yeah.
there's a whole bunch of different like customization options. It's really cool, and games don't really do that. Oh my god, I failed again. Why is this being like
Maybe you
this?
should just skip it.
The first attempt I basically did, I just hesitated at the end. You know what? I'm sorry to do this, but yeah, I'm just gonna move on to the next level. You saw basically everything that happened there. All you need to do is wait. You need to shoot her behind there before the thing closes, and then you need to wait for Natalia to do all she does on the computer, and then you escape.
Although, to answer your question, Adam, just make sure that it doesn't have a z-axis,
Why'd you do that?
because the PS1 did not have a way of telling what z-axis was.
How did that work?
That's why you'll always see like this weird warping effect on the PS1 games.
Oh yeah? So that's what caused the weird distortion thing.
Yeah, well, yeah.
I actually have seen, I think in Unity there was a Spyro fan project that managed to get a visual filter that looked like that texture warping thing working, which was quite impressive.
Alright. First body armor of the game. It takes this long to find body armor in Double Agent. I don't know if like there were some body armor I missed in previous levels, but it's the first one that I found. And there's actually a second one, not too far ahead. I want to be careful around here because there's turrets and... Yep, they can hurt. So this level, you're also escorting Natalia, but you don't have to worry about her at all. She'll actually fight back, and she's pretty good. Like, I've never had her die in this level.
Is that meant to be like an M16?
Yes.
That's
It
terrible.
It
Well,
also,
it gets.
it also
Oh, no,
doesn't
you
have a
go.
stock.
Yeah. Which, if you know anything about the AR platform, is impossible.
I'll take your word for it.
Because the recoil spring is in the stock, or in like the buffer tube, which is
Oh boy.
in the back.
There. I'm actually gonna go back for that body armor. That was a boss fight, I guess.
I guess.
There's only two of them, this one and then the final boss. Perfect Dark also didn't really have much in the way of bosses, but it did have a final boss that was, you know, more substantial than what this game has.
It's still pretty quick, wasn't it?
Yeah, when you know what you're doing, you can do it pretty easily.
That's not a knock against the game. I generally think that doing final bosses shorter rather than longer is nice, but
Depends on the game and the boss.
let's just put it this way. I feel as if overstaying your welcome is a far, far larger crime most of the time.
Suppose. Okay. Also, it's funny. One of my second test run of this game was after I had like finished playing Dusk.
Oh yeah.
So it was kind of funny coming to this after that. I kept like pushing F for a flashlight and like trying to push R to spin my gun. Like, no, I can't do that.
Yeah.
More shooters should have a spin gun button.
Deep Rock does.
I'll have to look into Deep Rock. It's interesting watching you play it.
It was very fun.
You're just saying that because of Wario?
What? This level can be a little troublesome at the end because the enemy turret and the enemies keep respawning at the end. So, if someone pulls out a grenade and you shoot the grenade in their hand, it blows up.
So don't think you're gonna show it, but I also love how like you can get scientists to pull out.
Yeah, if like they have their hands up and you like shoot both their hands once, they'll pull out a gun and start shooting at you.
And if you run around them in circles, they'll pull out a grenade.
Oh, I didn't know about that.
Yeah.
Alright, this next level, Control Center.
I hate this level.
This is a tough one. And I think that the hardest part is right at the beginning. Like,
That's good.
now, there's another part of this that people don't like, and because it involves defending Natalia, and that can be tough, but right here, there are turrets ready to shoot you, and you have to really, like, peek around to be able to hit them without them shooting you. I'm glad that Perfect Dark didn't really have many turrets.
Is there that room later in this level that has like 2 or 3 of them?
Yeah, I mean, that one's not too bad because you can open the door and then move back to get out of their range. But here, like, they're too close where you can do that. You need to, like, crouch and, like, peek. Okay. Now if this room is clear, we can call Natalia out. She'll actually have different dialogue if you, like, take too much damage here, where she's just like, oh, you're injured.
That's neat.
You don't really have to defend her the whole mission, because she'll stay here. It's just later when you open the door from the other side, she'll go and, you know, mess with another computer, and you have to defend her from a bunch of enemies, and that one can be a little tricky. Also, the enemies around here are a bit grenade happy.
A bit of looping back to something familiar, but I really do love the super shotgun in Dusk.
Oh, yeah.
It has just the right length of reload.
Oh! Someone threw a grenade that I didn't notice.
Surprise!
Explosives really hurt in this game.
Much like real life.
What are you talking about?
You know, speaking of shotguns, that's one thing that was a little... Wait, who's shooting? Oh. A little disappointing about Perfect Dark. It's not really... It doesn't really have a great shotgun.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember what the shotgun in that game is.
You only really get it in a couple levels.
Hmm. The gun that always stood out to me in Perfect Dark was the starter pistol that my friend and I nicknamed the Smooth Gun, because it was just so smooth.
Oh, yeah, I really like that gun.
Falcon, I think it's called.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I said, it is buttery smooth.
Perfect Dark has a really cool weapon. You know, another thing I forgot to mention. Perfect Dark has, like, every weapon has, like, 2 functions.
Yeah.
Like, alternate fires and such. Now, it's not like, you know, more modern games where, like, you could just, you know, right-click to shoot. You have to, like, hold the reload button to swap its mode to the other one.
Oh yeah, it's definitely awkward, but
yeah.
I think it's worth it.
Yeah.
Why this reminds me of it, but I just remember in Perfect Dark Zero, it like one of the like loading you know, like factoid things that games give you when a game is loading, which tells that apparently the laptop runs a version of Windows.
Which laptop?
The gun.
Oh, laptop gun. I guess they shoehorned that in because it was a Xbox exclusive.
Yeah.
Nothing like a little bit of product placement.
So really hate.
I think I only managed to get through the first level of that game before I went, nah, and then turned it off.
I am invincible! I also really don't like how if you shoot him in this, Natalia just fails the mission for you.
So apparently murder is bad or something. Pff, okay.
Not allowed to kill him, you'll create time paradox? I don't know. We didn't shoot him in the movie, so we're not allowed to here.
Oh yes, because what does it matter if he lives a bit longer?
Okay.
Is he the other pen?
Yes.
Yeah.
I always remember that. Every time I'm clicking a pen, I think of GoldenEye. Genuinely.
Here we got some body armor. That's actually where Boris runs to if you follow him.
And then he despawns.
Okay. So now we need to go over here.
The closest thing I can think of to Xbox is I saw. I think Netflix is working with Microsoft to make their ad-based subscription model.
Oh yeah. Which isn't at all horrifying.
Okay.
What's that? You want me to pirate even more?
Here at Dawn of the New Day Charity, we do not directly support piracy.
And I have to like peek in to get those turrets because they put those turrets there because they're jerks. All right, time for the other part that people don't like about this level. Natalia. Got a defender.
Look how she's typing while holding a gun.
Yep.
How else are you supposed to type?
Well, I mean, she's not American.
What? Oh. Yeah, some of these enemies will shoot at you. Some of them will shoot at her, so... Oh, they're being really aggressive on the bottom here. So make sure you keep up on ammo.
There was another guy there.
Ugh. Jeez. They didn't appear like ground level nearly as much in the test run. I almost shot Natalia there. Okay. But now that part's over, so we just need to get out of here.
Ben, I think in response to your comment, Aston said, but neither is Bond and he slows a gun. Was that Natalia not being an American?
You know what? You got me, Adam. I don't have an answer. Well played.
One thing that's a little... Oh, jeez. I'm almost... No. I'm almost dead. But, one thing that's annoying in this game that Perfect Dark thankfully fixed is when you go to pause, there's a bit of an animation for the menu to come up. During that animation, enemies still move and can shoot you.
Oh god.
Thankfully, it's very quick in Perfect Dark.
Can enemies still shoot you in it?
I don't think so.
Because I think that's more the important thing.
Yeah. We're almost done. I just need to make my way over there into the elevator. Not die. There we go. Okay, it ends at 4:30, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so, it's from caverns. It's this and then Cradle, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so, yeah, we should be able to do this.
One other thing that I do appreciate, like this and Perfect Dark did, but I really like how like if you shoot someone, like the blood actually stays on them.
Not that it matters because they fade out in this game.
You can do it faster. You play with slow animations.
Well. Okay, so, the scientists in this level are really a little annoying because they sometimes refuse to just run away. And, you need to destroy these things. And sometimes the scientists are so stupid they run into the explosions and kill themselves. And if you kill too many scientists, you fail. You want to get them to, like, raise their hands, because when you do that, they'll run away. There we go. Get out of here. Sometimes they can take a while to start running. I wonder how speedrunners deal with this level.
This might be one of those kinds of levels that their solution to it is just don't deal with it.
Yeah. Well, too many die. And they fail the mission. I guess maybe just shoot them and hope the scientists don't kill themselves.
Yeah.
I think if you play on easy, the amount of them that can die increases.
Yeah, the harder you go, the less lenient it is. Ugh. There's nothing in this area back here.
I thought there was something behind.
What, the lockers?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe. Oh, yeah. Sorry.
Also, they explode.
like a shortcut to a different part of the level.
Did you not know about this before?
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna go back and go the other way. Although one of those enemies might be following me.
You got like the best gun.
Yeah, I don't get a whole lot of ammo. Or extra ammo for it.
Imagine walking into him on the dark night.
Ugh.
Rises.
Oh,
uh, okay, this part can be a little tricky. Mostly because there's a radio that I need to use, and those, if I shoot it, it blows up. And also, sometimes these guys could throw grenades. Oh yeah, someone threw a grenade. Okay. I just hope they don't blow up the thing. I need to not be blown up. The thing I needed to not be blown up has been blown up. Right then. Yeah, that's really the only troublesome part of this level. I'm glad Perfect Dark relied less on making sure not specific thing you need to interact with is blown up, but is easily blown up because enemies nearby.
actually made easy to blow up.
Yeah, I think Perfect Dark definitely was a lot better in terms of designing the objectives. Also, a lot more missions changed. They added more objectives on higher difficulties compared to GoldenEye, because there are a number of levels in this game that don't add any new objectives, even on 00 Agent.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I forget which ones specifically they are. I think Train might be one of them.
Yeah, no, that sounds right. I remember like one of the levels even like you spawn in a different place on like Perfect Agent.
Oh yeah, the villa. That one was really cool. Where it's like on Agent and Secret Agent, you are in a sniper position and trying to save a hostage, but on Perfect Agent, you are the hostage.
Oh, that's really cool. I actually remember the hostage thing. I don't ever think we tried that one on Perfect Agent because my friend and I would try and do it level by level.
Yeah.
And I think at that point in time we were gotten stuck on level 2 or 3 on a Perfect Agent.
Fair.
It's a very brutal game, and also it's worth saying we weren't taking our time. We were trying to get like a speedrun approach down where like we'd get everything first cycle. Which was definitely fun, but I think it probably would have been easier if we didn't try and play it that way.
Yeah, probably.
It was definitely a lot of fun though.
But yeah, it was cool, just playing that level, and it's like, wait, I'm the hostage. And when you do that, you have the laptop gun on you, so you just pull it out and start shooting at them.
Yeah.
Laptop gun is a pretty cool weapon.
It's also a turret, right?
Yeah,
That's
its
the alternate.
yeah. Alright, final area again. Hopefully, radio doesn't blow up. Oh,
Just keep...
someone threw another grenade. Oh, this keeps happening, man. Yeah, I'm definitely playing worse than both of my previous runs. Why do they have to put guys with grenades over there?
Just
no-
to spite you in particular.
No fun allowed. Damn, that is disappointing.
So,
What is?
My laptop, calendar only goes up to, 2099.
That's bizarre. Will you have any plans for 2100 maybe?
I don't know, maybe. I think it'd be over 110.
Just trying to make sure you aren't busy that weekend.
Yeah!
I guess if you're 110, you do kind of need to understand in advance if you're doing something. It's a little hard to get impromptu plans going.
And on how things go, it might happen. Yeah, Adam. But we'll see.
I will say something kind of on that note. It is funny how the entirety of the Y2K scare was predicated on the idea and continued practice of programmers not actually planning for a lot of contingencies that are fairly expectable or common. It's like, oh yeah, the year's eventually going to increase. Nah, we don't need to care about that.
Sit later.
Exactly.
What do you mean it's later?
We scheduled later to not happen at all.
You're smart.
Indeed.
you can dual wield these things in this level. It's not really worth it because of all the ammo. Like, you use up ammo pretty fast with it.
It's funny that you mentioned that, Adam, because we were talking about that earlier.
Excuse me, its proper name is Yik.
It's like some sort of alteration of, like, vomiting. Like yicking.
I have no idea.
What I'm saying, it sounds like... Yicking sounds like something you would say.
Okay. There's the radio.
Why did we store our
I know I
explosive
can
barrel?
blow all that up. Okay. Now that I've done that, should be all the objectives. Now I just need to exit the level.
It's kind of like Ben. It's kind of like how, I don't know if you've heard of it, but there's a, I don't know if it's like a soft drink. There's like a sugary drink that I know is quite common to find in the UK. I don't know if it's in many other places, called Vimto.
Never heard of it.
Anyway, often referred to as vomit.
Well, as I found out, because apparently most Europeans think that, like, Hershey's talks like vomit.
That was a scientist that was shooting at me because I
I've
accidentally
mostly
shot him.
just heard that it tastes waxy from people over there, which is also my hear for people over here.
Well, so, as I've learned, it's because of the, they actually add something to make it. It's called butyric acid.
Hmm.
And it's literally the stuff that's also in vomit.
Good to hear.
It's just that, you know, because we're so used to eating it, we don't taste it.
Yeah. That took a little too long, but we're on the final level.
Isn't that an Adam Ragusa video?
Yeah.
I love his channel.
Yeah, no, I found him recently, and I found his butter episode to also be really fascinating.
I like the vinegar episode.
I haven't watched that yet.
Thankfully, this level does give us some body armor at the start because the enemies in this level are pretty accurate.
The general gist of what vinegar is alcohol that people just kind of left. Because if something ferments for a while, then you get alcohol. If you ferment it for even longer, then you get vinegar.
Alright, this level's
Strange.
pretty simple. You just need to destroy the computer at the start to stop the timer, and now you just need to chase traveling around, and when he stops, shoot him, while also hopefully not dying from these guys.
Well, actually, you can also get him to kill himself.
Yeah.
Because I have had, like, times where he was, like, stuck in here, and either him or one of his teammates threw a grenade.
Oh yeah. I think, yeah, sometimes he does throw, like, drop a grenade on the floor when he runs away. Usually when you shoot him once, he'll just run to another spot. Although sometimes he stays at the same spot for a little longer. But
Let me go on.
you just need to keep doing this until he goes to the bottom. You'll know when the music changes.
Although, Adam, to answer your what you just said, you know, it's good enough for dogs. Why shouldn't it be good enough for us? Oh, and actually, another interesting thing. This was a real thing, a real building place thing. It was
Yeah.
actually a telescope.
Yeah. Also, you guys might as well start preparing your setup.
Yes, I was about to do that. I also just beat the second world of Donkey Kong Country Returns on my DS.
Nice. Ugh. I died because some guys spawned behind me, and again, they were really accurate.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out a game that was like, what's something that doesn't take too much thought to play? I don't know. I still don't want to play something on my computer because... I'm gonna have another energy drink in a minute.
I guess I should,
Get the stream set up, yeah.
yeah, we'll make sure,
Okay, that's good. And then, Ben, can you say something?
hello.
Perfect.
Alright, so let me also just see if, is there audio?
One moment, I need to set up everything else first. Oh, I need to get the stream up. That's good. Frame.
Back.
The enemy's range is longer than the draw distance, which is annoying. Oh, he dropped a grenade. Really gotta be careful when chasing him.
Guess that's all in the right spot. What's the event after this? Is that just Majora's Mask?
I think so.
I had to just change the event.
Yep.
Okay, that should be good. And then I just need to get...
Music change, so she's going to the bottom here. Wait, where'd he go? Don't do this to me! Of course, you know, I get here and then it glitches out. Why did he go all up there? Right, I'll make one more attempt, and if I don't do it this time, I guess that'll be it.
Okay.
Ugh. When you do so much better on the test runs, and then you get to the actual thing, and it's... Ugh.
But can you hear anything?
Yeah, I'm getting full audio.
Okay.
I'm not entirely sure what determines when he decides to go to the bottom, because sometimes I feel like it takes a lot longer, like, I need to shoot him more to get him to do that. Other times it goes, like, quickly.
Yeah.
Just ran right into that grenade. Oh hey, more body armor. I didn't realize that was there. I'll save it.
Sorry, what is this music, Ben?
This is Marilyn Manson.
Got it.
They used it in the credits. I also just say how much I love this intro theme, like this main theme.
It's quite good.
And also just the overall aesthetics of the main theme. God
Ben,
damn
what
it.
do you think of this tweet? Nothing like a little jank in the morning. Right now on New Day Charity, we're playing Cold Fear, Resident Evil 4, like only more nautical.
I like that.
Sweet.
Nautical Resident Evil.
Well, actually, that sounds more like Deep Fear, which was a Saturn game that takes place completely underwater.
That's not Resident Evil 4 like, though.
No, but
That's
it's
a
Resident Evil 1.
like.
Yeah. Though, unfortunately, it was only released in Europe.
Oh, yes. Very unfortunately.
Okay, I beat him.
Yay!
Or he dropped a grenade right there and I died. You know what? That's it. That's how it ends. Bond blew up. That's it. That was stupid.
Brilliant.
I literally had to just wait a second and I would have won. I'm mad. Ugh.
Well, we are going to be switching to transition
Yeah.
because we need to get the events rolling. But thank you everyone for coming by and watching GoldenEye 007 as played by Red on the highest difficulty. And we will be right back with Cold Fear in a few minutes.
Yeah. And the last event I'm doing, but I'll stick around for near the end of Murderer's Mask tomorrow.
Alrighty.
Alright.
Just gonna stay up all night,
Going
just so...
to transition now.